He's the man. He's the myth. He's the legend. He's the scientist with all the answers to all the questions. It's time for another episode of Alex's Science Corner.
Thank you. No, please, thank you.
Okay.
What's going on in the wide
As
world
the station falls apart around us.
wide world of science, my friend?
All right, first story we're going to talk about is about paper wasps. And the first thing about paper wasps is, in general, paper wasps can't tell the difference between other paper wasps. But there are a few species of paper wasps that can recognize individual other paper wasps. And the reason why these can recognize other individual paper wasps is that these particular ones live in colonies where there are multiple queens. Now, most other species...
I thought that wasn't allowed.
Well, it is in this case.
Okay.
And there's a special evolutionary adaptation that's happened. And so what happens is, in these particular nests, there are multiple queens. And for them to identify the hierarchy of queens and where those wasps are within that hierarchy, the wasps have developed the evolutionary feature of being able to recognize other wasps by their face.
Something, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
The way they figured this out is the wasps can recognize that they are from the same nest by their smell. But what the researchers did is they added additional lines, and so the wasps would know that they're from the nest but not know where they're from the hierarchy. Like they changed their hairstyle, the equivalent, or or they grew
You
a
like it?
mustache. Yeah, exactly. Who are you again? Oh, and then it takes them a while to recognize where they are in the hierarchy. And it's mostly for the queens, in that the queens, there's going to be one queen that is going to be the lead queen of the nest. And that lead queen is the one that's beating up the other queens. And so the other queens kind of have to recognize who beat them up and who they beat up. And so that establishes the hierarchy. And the wasps that are the children of the nest
Have to know who their queen mother is.
Right, and who is the lead queen and who are the sub-queens.
Okay.
Now, the reason that these nests have large or are combined together is because if the queens left the nest, then it's much more likely that the nest will get wiped out. But a larger nest has a better chance of surviving. And so these group of queens come together. So even a queen that a lower tiered
rank.
queen will be able to lay less eggs, but her eggs are going to have a better chance of surviving than if she's out someplace else.
By herself.
Right.
With her own.
Right. And so these
Minions.
wasps have developed the ability to recognize each other
that's
and find
interesting.
out what their...
So it's not recognizing each other just from the scent anymore. It's
correct.
recognizing
They know that they're from the
facial
same nest
nest.
because of their scent.
scent.
Right, but they looking at
Yeah.
the face, and like I said, what the researchers did is they repainted the wasps' faces so that they couldn't recognize each other, and so it took them a while.
Oh, how tedious is that? Take the tweezer, grab it. How do you paint the face of a wasp and not get stung? Hold on, hold still. Let me just put this little bit of highlighter. I'm sorry. Well, seriously, you said they're painting their faces.
Yeah, well, it's a challenge. I'm sure a microscope and a very teeny brush.
Yeah. Off and something for the pain for getting stung, I'm sure.
Yeah, although I'm sure the wasp is just sitting there. It's like talking about the other queens while the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're next. Oh, yeah, well, let's gossip about this queen. And
Yeah.
It's not your turn yet. So, got it.
Okay.
What's the other story?
Moving right along.
Going to the wasp beauty salon. So the next story is about in 2015, the New Horizons probe passed Pluto, and it was only in the Pluto, passing by Pluto for just a few hours. But during that time, it collected a mass amount of scientific data. And they're still processing the data even now. And one of the things that they've figured out from that time, or from that data collection, is that big heart-shaped feature that we've seen on Pluto, that's a sea of frozen nitrogen. Okay? And so what
It's gonna
happens...
be pretty cold.
Yes. Because it's Pluto and it's really far away from the sun.
Yeah.
So what happens is when that side is facing the sun, the nitrogen sublimates off and forms an atmosphere. Now, it's a very, very thin atmosphere. But that atmosphere starts causing winds that blow across the face of Pluto from that feature and start freezing when it comes night. And so that freezing and warming cycle of the winds of nitrogen coming across Pluto, they figured out that it's forming these various features, windswept features, that you'd not see on a airless world. Some interesting photos. If you get to see the YouTube channel, you'll see many of these photos.
Oh, good. You can put them up.
Yes. So that feature is just... it's generating winds that you would not expect. They expected Pluto to be a completely airless world, but it does have an atmosphere. It's very dependent on, which side is facing the sun for how thick the atmosphere is. But there are wind-shaped features on Pluto because of this.
Interesting.
All right. Any questions?
So it's still very cold for it to be in a liquid state, too, the nitrogen.
Yeah, the nitrogen sublimates off, and what that means is it goes directly from the solid state to the gas state.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't
Correct.
stop in liquid state. Okay.
Correct. And so from that state, it just becomes a gas, becomes the atmosphere.
How warm does it have to get to be a gas?
That I can't remember at the moment.
Okay. All right.
But it doesn't have to be that warm. Enough of it is going to turn into gas to cause these windswept features to appear.
Okay.
All right.
All right. If you have any questions about these stories or anything else science related, you may call right now at 203
837
9924.